In this day and age, it's never been more vital to be discerning about the information that we receive. The term post-truth took top spot as the word of the year in 2016, and with other terms like alternative facts and fake news making a daily appearance in headlines worldwide, doubt has begun to undermine all that we hear and read. Joining us now is Hector MacDonald, the author of Truth: How the Many Sides to Every Story Shape Our Reality. Welcome, Hector.
Hello.
So I want to start right at the beginning. Tell us what prompted you to write this book.
Well, Elsa, my background is as a strategic communications consultant. So I've spent the last 10 years or so helping companies distill very complex sets of information, their strategies, their big data, down into a clear set of messages that all of their employees can get their heads around and enjoy and understand. And so that process has showed me how flexible the truth can be, if you like, because there's so much information that you can draw on that it's up to you to choose which of the messages you prioritize. And by choosing, say, these 5 sentences to put out there rather than the other 5 sentences, you end up giving a very different sense of the reality of that organization. That got me interested in how other communicators use truth and different forms of the truth in highly artful and sometimes misleading ways, particularly politicians and marketers.
And you say that there are 4 common types of misleading truths. What are they, and how would you describe them?
Well, the standard misleading truth technique is to either leave something out or to selectively focus on one area of the truth which is favorable to your agenda and downplay other areas of the truth that perhaps you're not quite so proud of. So we call that cherry picking, if you like, and that's something that we all do. We do it in our Facebook feeds, we do it in resumes and so on. And quite often that's perfectly innocent, but we see that in politics as well in ways that can be very misleading about what's going on. A second common technique is to change the context of the truth. So make your truthful statement, but surround it by context which completely distorts the nature of the message that you're conveying. Third one is to imply cause and effect where it doesn't really exist. So you can relate a series of true events and then imply they're somehow connected. We saw this particularly with, for example, the invasion of Iraq in 2003 being coupled very closely with the rise of ISIS. Now, those 2 things might have been connected, but they're not necessarily a straightforward narrative as it's often presented. And a fourth one I'd offer is games that people play with the definitions of words and the names that they give to events or policies or political parties or whatever it may be. We can shape reality by simply redefining words or giving new and very evocative names to things, which give people a completely different sense of what they are.
So that's an example, basically, of how facts can then just be misunderstood, correct?
They can absolutely be misunderstood, but of course in the hands of an artful communicator, they can be deliberately misrepresented. And we see this, for example, in political speeches like the one that George W. Bush famously gave in 2002, where he spoke at length about both Iraq and Al-Qaeda, linking them almost in every sentence, but not actually stating outright that they were working together. He merely implied it and gave a lot of Americans across the nation the impression that Iraq was somehow involved in 9/11 the year before.
So as we're wrapping up, can you tell us in our practical everyday lives how we can present the truth to be persuasive, effective, and ethical so that we're ethical communicators?
That's a huge ask, but I'll try. I think the thing to focus on is clarity and brevity in your messaging. So, work out what you really want to say and get it as short as possible so that people understand the key points. Mm-hmm. Obviously, choose the messages that best favor what you're trying to get people to understand or do. But as you say, apply an ethical lens to that. If your audience knew everything you knew, would they think that you were being fair in your portrayal of an event or your description of something? And if you can answer that positively, then you're probably on the right track.
All right, Hector, thank you so much. We can pick up your book, Truth, anywhere that books are sold. We'll be right back with more Midday Maryland right after the break. Stay tuned.